Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to FTB Interactions. Now, it hasn't been too long since last episode. I wanted to go ahead and push into what we're going to be working on today. But one thing that I do want to do, Olivine, we've been running it through just like our normal gems, but I did forget. That's where we're going to get our manganese from. So I do want to switch this up just a little bit, and I want to say that... go ahead and grab it from the ore wash line, and we'll go ahead and let that run. I don't want Olivine to run through there. Instead, I want it to go into the forge hammer line. And what's going to happen is it's going to give us these impure piles of olivine dust. And I want to take these, and these I want to run through the centrifuge, just straight into olivine dust. At least for now. I know later on there's some other ways that we can do this, so we'll probably switch it back in due time. But for right now, we're going to put impure piles of olivine dust into there and let that start centrifuging. And when it runs, we're going to get these tiny piles of manganese dust. So let's go ahead and just grab these, and we're going to add them into our tiny dust line. Unfortunately, I've ran most of my olivine at this point, but it's easy to go out and get more. And it totally slipped my mind that that's what we're going to want for our HV line. But it does mean that olivine is going to run extremely quickly. So that's good. So we're getting this manganese dust. Now, what we're going to do, normally we can just smelt this into ingots. And that's what we're going to set it for, is add it to the furnace line. But what we want it today for is we want the dust form. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab that for right now. And what we're going to do, before we get started with the rest of our projects, we're just going to touch on this really quick. We're going to go ahead and break this down, and then break down some nickel, and then break down some iron. And then what we're going to do is, let's pop over here, and we're going to go ahead and take these and put them together to make ourselves some stainless steel dust. And so then what we can do is we can run this through a blast furnace and turn it into stainless steel ingots. Some dusts are like that, and they work kind of, we'll need different parts of them. But when that comes up, we'll just make adjustments. It's not a big deal. Ores are easy enough for us to go out and gather that I don't mind it. And we're going to be upgrading our pick before too long, which is going to make it even easier for us. Oh, wait. I need to go enchant this, just because I like having them enchanted. And we're at the point now where enchanting is a bit easier. Though I am going to want to upgrade our experience production before too long, because we're going to be moving into kind of the later game enchanting before too long. So all of our manganese is storing over here now. And since we only need 1 for 9, it's actually not a big loss. To give you an idea, I have 5,839 olivine gems at the moment, because I just ran a ton of olivine. But I don't mind. Like I said, I don't care. That's like 2 veins, maybe. And then give me just a minute. I'm going to get together. I've actually been getting together the materials that we're going to need for another blast furnace. And I'm going to continue getting this together. And we're going to be setting up a blast furnace really quick. Or I could just... I'll tell you what. I'm running chrome over here. Let me switch it and let me run some stainless for a bit. Yeah, it's going to give us the warning, but we're running it at triple time in a bottle boost. But I went out and I got some more ruby ore. We're running a bunch of ruby ore, and this can actually be ran through here and made into dense ruby ore. So we're going to be loaded up on that stuff. Actually, this chrome dust I may hold on to, and we're just going to make a bunch more stainless steel. I want to go ahead and just start bulk making stainless steel. I will get that blast furnace put together at some point this episode. But what I want to start off with, we've got a lot of projects to do, and I want to go ahead and get into them. The very first thing, and HV, I just kind of want to unlock it. I'm not actually going to do much with it at the moment. We have a simulation chamber, and the very first thing that I want to do this episode is I want to set this up just to run very temporarily. I know we don't have a proper place for it just yet. We're going to be getting more into deep mob learning before too long, because I want to start farming on that. Let me grab this. And then we're going to need to get ourselves some polymer clay, which is going to be polyethylene. Okay, so should we just start off with polyethylene automation? Yeah, I'll tell you what, we're just going to go ahead and push on. It's a little bit different than my original plan for this episode, but since I need that polyethylene to make the polymer clay, we might as well just go ahead and knock this out. Polyethylene, it's a little bit of a project, but it's actually not too bad. We're going to be making it here with the oxygen, and then we're going to be using ethylene, which is basically just a distilled byproduct. I don't know if it would be worth going for the distillation tower. I don't even think we can just yet. No, we're pretty much going to have to push up to HV to start that. And I think we are going to need to get polyethylene before we can make, because of the circuits, I think we're going to have to get polyethylene first before we can even run the distillation tower. So we're going to be starting off with the distillery. Probably our starting point is going to be this one here, just using wood gas to create ethylene. Pyrolise oven is like this, a bit of copper nickel. So I'll probably finish off the blast furnace while I'm working on this. Now in addition, we are going to need copper nickel coil blocks for this. We're going to need energy inputs, outputs, hatches and buses, and input hatches and buses also, as well as ULV machine casings, which I remember these being fairly cheap. Because they're actually kind of earlier game. Yeah, they're just wrought iron, which works out because I was wanting to, yeah, this actually works out extremely well for us because all this is kind of coming together for a lot of our automation, because I'm wanting to set up an arc furnace today. Now that we've got oxygen, I want to set up an arc furnace so that we can start making wrought iron to make our steel through the blast furnace. So give me just a little bit. I'm going to start getting things together. Let me see if... I think our stainless, we've got 4. But what got me thinking about HV is because I was going to actually start repurposing this room and setting it up with all of our MV stuff. Or not, not all of it, but a bit of it. And then it was like, well, we're literally standing right on the cusp of HV. So I was like, well, maybe we'll just go ahead and do HV for a lot of our automation, but kind of ease into it, because there's still a lot of MV stuff and even some LV stuff that I'm wanting to get set up. So I'm not really in any rush, and most of what we're going to be working on today, well, actually all of what we're going to be working on today pretty much is not related to HV. But I'm going to go ahead and just order a stack of copper nickel. We're going to need a lot of it. And I'm just going to go ahead and set up some of my recipes just to get us ready while this stainless is getting done. It's almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and grab these. And we got a task completed. But truth be told, before we actually fully start into HV, I want to overhaul power. So we are going to be working on that before too long. But not just yet. Alright, so the HV, well, this will just be... let me just go ahead and teach it. I think I can make these in the standard assembler. Yeah, LV is fine. We're never going to make one of these by hand. And we're going to just order ourselves HV machine hall, and we'll give it just a minute. Actually, let me throw this back in. I taught it how to make copper nickel wires, so let me just get a stack of those. Alright, so there's our very first HV machine hall. Quest complete, quest complete, quest complete. Alright, first up we have this, where we get our trophy. So we're going to get the high voltage trophy, 4 good electronic circuits, and 4 HV machine halls. And high voltage trophy, you know what that means. We're going to go set this up right there. And you can see, actually, I'm a bit ahead on videos. Patrons are going to have these like a week ahead of time, but for everyone else, it'll be a little while before you get up to this point. And then over here, we also get 8 manganese and a fried chicken bucket. Manganese, we would have lots of that stuff if I hadn't derped and ran it all as olivine. I don't remember what the byproduct was, though, for running it this way. Oh, magnesium. That's why I ran it as that. Normally, that's the method that I look at, is like just the straight method, like what we've been using. And we got pyrope, which is good in its own right. So, because we can get magnesium over here as well, which we're going to be using a lot of that later on. And whenever we get to that point, I have 762. So I'm okay with mining up some more olivine to make up for the manganese that we've lost. But like I said, there are other ways to make it as well. And as you can see, it's not really a big deal for us at this point. Okay, so now I'm going to cut for a while. I'm going to start getting the stuff together for our power release oven, and then we're going to start moving into polyethylene today. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to mention, right after last episode, I went ahead and locked all these tanks. Just shift right click to lock and unlock, just like caches, so that way they don't take any other fluids, because I had a mishap with my liquid experience, which I do need to plug conduits up to that still. But also, I did decide, I went ahead and made 8 copper nickel coil blocks, but I think instead of making another blast furnace just yet, we're going to push for the vacuum freezer before too long. So I'm just going to make do with the one that I have for the time being, which I think will be okay. And then we'll push for the vacuum freezer, and that way I don't have to make more coils, because I'm going to be making Kanthal coil blocks before too long, so I'd rather just push on for those instead of wasting materials to make more copper nickel, I think. Also, we did get our advanced arc furnace, which does complete a quest here, and we're going to get a 64,000 liter thing of oxygen. And we're just going to go ahead and set this up. Let's set it up right here for now. It's running on the LV lines, but that's okay. We're going to be overhauling all of our automation stuff here soon, but I'm going to go ahead and just, I think, wait and do it all as HV instead of making any real MV machines, because for the most part it's not really necessary. But we're going to make wrought iron through here, and we'll start making the steel through the blast furnace once we make our new blast furnace in the upcoming episodes. Okay, that went pretty quick. I just ended up ordering pretty much everything. But I went ahead and I made all of our hatches and buses MV now, because aluminum's so easy. We have plenty of it. I think I've got like 100 plates made up, and then in addition we have 633 aluminum. So still haven't even automated aluminum, but we will soon. Alright, so what we're going to do, our power release oven. I mean, I'd like to set it up out here, but if I put it, I could put it here. It's not really that big. I just don't know. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll go ahead and set it up here, I think. So what we'll do, we'll set up our copper nickel blocks and then our ULV machine casings. On the back side, I think, is where all the output happens. So it's output bus, energy input, and output hatch. Though I don't think it requires it to be that way. I think you can mess around with it and stuff and change it up. Now, the power release ovens, they could be stacked also. I don't think I'm going to stack it. They're pretty fast, so I don't think I'm that worried about it. But I'm probably going to set it up roughly the same way that it's set up, because it doesn't actually matter for me. So there we go. There's our power release oven. Now, I am going to have to provide this with some power, and for that, what we're going to do is, this is like multi-block city over here. But I think it makes more sense than putting our power release oven inside. It'll be out there in the wood farm. Oh, and by the way, I did set up this. We're going to go ahead. Boom, there's a bunch of stainless. And that's enough stainless that we should be pretty good to start into some heavy HV here soon. Because we are going to start pushing that once we get our power system set up. Oh, I actually had what I was looking for on me. I forget I have half my inventory in my backpack. It's kind of convenient, to be honest, because I'm working with a lot of the same things, lots of cables and stuff. So we're going to put our turbine in right there. And it's just going to feed directly into this thing. That's all I wanted to do, just power this. And then we're going to run steam over to it like so. Okay, so we've got power. Now what we need to do is start inputting. And what we're going to do, inputting and outputting. Now output, it's just going to make charcoal. And so I'm just going to feed the charcoal that it makes into this charcoal system. So it's kind of like having another coke oven, except it's not going to produce creosote, but it is going to be like a super fast coke oven. But it should not impact our system at all, because there's enough wood here that they can share, and it's going to back up on wood gas before too long, our system is. So just go ahead and start, go ahead and extract, and the line that I'm using is the red line for extracting charcoal. So we're going to set this to the same color, and then for the fluid, I'm going to make a tank, and we're just going to basically plug it up to our logistics system. And for this, I'm actually going to grab a pressurized conduit just because it can move a little bit faster. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to set up our conduit, We're going to say that you can extract always active, and we're going to put in a portable tank that sits right there. And I don't happen to have fluid. Now I'll have to get some fluid pipes to connect this up to the system, but we're just going to feed it into there. And then what we're going to do is on the front here, the only thing we need to worry about is the input bus. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a basic pipe here. Basic pipe there, and logistics chassis Mark 1 feeding in right there. And we're going to say that you're going to have a provider module. I'm sorry, not a provider module. I want a supplier module. So go ahead, that, and I want you to send over oak wood. Keep 32 in here. Or, no, you know what? Keep a stack in here. And we're going to go ahead and set this also to partial. So it's going to send that over. And then we need a program circuit. So our fluid provider pipe, I'm just going to tuck this up underneath the turbine. So it's going to be able to see the portable tank. And then we're going to go ahead and in the input, we're going to add in our program circuit configuration 5. Could have used an LV, but honestly at this point I think MV, until I get my steel automated, I think MV is cheaper for me than LV is. So that's running, and that's going to produce our first bits of wood gas. So once we have our wood gas, then what we need to do is run it through a distillery, and we're going to start producing ethylene. And this is going to be a program circuit 1 distillery. 1,000 millibuckets of wood gas gets us 200 millibuckets of ethylene, but you can see we've got 1.5 buckets of wood gas, and it should be supplied to the system. So let's pop over, let's get ourselves a distillery, and let's get ourselves a program circuit. Okay, and I am going to need a blaze rod for this, so let me pop into the nether real quick. Okay, so there's our advanced distillery. We'll go ahead and just snag that. And I'm just going to make a new steam turbine. Now, there is, of course, the spectral system, the spectral relays and stuff. We will be getting into those, but not just yet. I'm not in that big of a rush for it, and I'm not going to be plugging up all my power just with spectral relays. I'm actually going to run cables. I find them more interesting. Plus, we're going to have cables all over the place. So, and I have a really cool idea for the base. I'm going to be doing some base work in the upcoming days, maybe over the weekend and stuff. Okay, so we'll set this in right here, and we're going to go ahead and run out a cable. Set the distillery here. And it was for the ethylene. Yeah, if you look at ethylene, like, look at all this. It's just madness. Absolute madness. But we need a program circuit set to 1. Let me pull off this. Steam turbine in. And then what we can do is we can run some additional turbines and stuff as we need to. The distillery, I'm actually going to move it over by 1 though. We'll put our fluid supplier in right here. We're going to say that you can provide, let's grab our wood gas, drag that over, and we're going to say provide wood gas, and go ahead and keep 10,000, partial no, 1 bucket. And then we're going to put a fluid provider pipe here. Okay, so what's going to happen is here in a minute we should get some wood gas sent over from the Pyrolise oven into our advanced distillery. Looks like that's it. There we go. The advanced distillery is going to start running, and it's going to start making ethylene for us. There we go. And let me go grab my wrench real quick. And we're going to set this to up and say fluid auto output. So it's going to send that ethylene into here. So now the system has ethylene. Okay, so now to make the polyethylene, we're going to need air and ethylene, or we're going to be using oxygen and ethylene, because that makes 216. Later on we can add the titanium tetrachloride and bump it up by a lot, as you can see. And then there's also the plastic enriched chicken, I suppose, which takes polyethylene. So I'm going to set it up proper. And we don't have the ethanol at the moment, though we could actually push for that, because you can make wood vinegar. Ooh, we might push for the plastic chicken. That is crazy cheap. Crazy cheap. But let's go ahead and get a chemical reactor, which I think we already have one because they gave us some from the quest. And we're going to set up our chemical reactor right here. And yeah, we've got 10.6 buckets of ethylene already. We're going to need 2 fluid connections. Let me go ahead and set the top side as your output. And let me also go ahead and just lock this in. And let me go grab a tank and our fluid pipes. And what we're going to do, we're going to put in a fluid supplier. We're actually going to put in 2. There's going to be one there, and we're going to put a basic pipe on this joint because I know there's going to be other stuff plugged up. The best route for us, we're going to set a tank up here and a fluid provider pipe here. And so this one right here, we're just going to be providing it with ethylene. 144 millibuckets to 1,000 oxygen gives us 216 polyethylene. So we're going to go, keep 1008, no partial. Keep 1008 ethylene in here. And we're going to set the min mode to none on this, since we're dealing with something that uses very small amounts of liquids. So it should, yeah, there we go. That looks like the 8 millibuckets, yeah. Okay. Then we're going to come over to this side, and we're going to say, keep, this is GregTech oxygen. Oh, it's this one here. That's fine. We're going to put this in right there, and we'll just dump this in. But we're going to say, keep 5,000 buckets, partial, yes. There we go. Just order our circuit. We're going to be speeding up all of our automation. Of course, whenever we hit HV, they're going to be faster machines, but we're going to be making it faster as well. Like, for example, Metal Bender and stuff, we are going to have multiples of them, and then they can just go to whichever one's open and stuff like that. We're going to be speeding all that up a bit. Okay, so we're just going to pop that in, and that's going to start running, and it's going to start making us polyethylene. So I think I already set you to go up. Go ahead and auto output your fluids. So now our system has polyethylene. Now we can make the plastic chicken, and we will. It's really not a big rush for us though, because all this is free at this point. So I'll just kind of make that at my leisure. So now that we've got polyethylene, to make it into ingots, it's just going to be fluid solidifier with an ingot mold. So I just now discovered that we can do this. Oh, we can chisel the, that's really, really nice. And we can change them out. That's cool. But I made just a basic fluid solidifier, and this should be fine for us. And I'm just going to set this up. Oh, we're backed up on polyethylene. Oh, and let me go ahead and lock that in. And I tell you what, I don't need a lot of this at the moment. Let me grab a bucket of polyethylene till I get a more proper place for this. Let's just fluid solidify a few ingots of this. And let's go ahead and get our polymer clay. So it's clay and polyethylene. Yeah, that's going to go far. That's going to go very, very far. So we'll just throw that in, get that running, and making our polymer clay. Alright, so now that we've got that, all of that was really just a side project, or for a side project, because this is just kind of a side project, but we needed to get polyethylene up and going, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and get this running and do it all faster. Okay, so we're getting Overworldian matter. That's what I want. That's all I want. And we're getting pristine zombie matter, which is cool. We can use this to make lots of rotten flesh, and then later on we can do that once we set up the alchemical. What does it take to make that? Arcane lamp. Basically just starting at Thaumcraft, and we can do that. And mana glass. I seem to remember mana glass is a little bit different in this pack. So we're going to grab 27 of this. I know you're probably like, what in the world are you doing? But I have a plan. I have a plan. Then let me grab 27 nether quartz. Let me order a hopper. We're going to take this nether quartz, we're going to combine it with the Overworldian matter. Oh, we actually only need half of that, plus 1. But we're going to get some Prismarine shards. I'm going to dump half those in there. I only need 27. And let me get my altar linker back because I'm going to need that. Let's go ahead and relink this altar. There we go. And let me just move this over now. Back over. And we're going to take our hopper. We're going to set it up to our blood altar. Grab that out. And we're going to toss in, tell you what, let's just toss in 27 Prismarine shards. And it's going to start draining our blood. We're going to go ahead and speed this up. We have got 27 healing fragments. We're not going to keep these on us like this all the time, but we have regeneration 3. And the purpose of this little foray into madness was for this. Let me show you. Now I will have these on me around the base, like one set. A lot of people don't like the inventory space loss. I don't mind it because I have signal and bags, and I'm going to clean mine out, and then we're going to have lots of inventory space. So it's really kind of the same thing, but now we have regeneration, and then when we go out exploring, we'll carry a set or 2 with us. But what we're going to do, we're going to set these wooden spikes up somewheres, just kind of temporary. We're not going to do this for very long. We'll set them over here. So what we're going to do is, because I actually, and this is actually perfect timing because I have to AFK, because I have to get my son on the bus, and I'm going to take off my armor here, and I'm just going to dump it into my backpack, like so. And then what I can do is I can stand atop these. Well, we have 20 hearts now. How do we have 20 hearts? Maybe because my nutrition is good, probably. But we can hang out on these spikes, and we have regeneration 3, so it's not like we're going to take any damage. And if we find our Astral Tome, we take a look here, we're starting to get experience. So I can just kind of AFK on these. I could even upgrade them realistically. I don't know if I really have time right this second. But I could upgrade them to like the stone spikes, the iron spikes, something like that, so they deal more damage, and I could get XP probably faster. Actually, I'll tell you what, I think I've got time. Alright, so if we hop on top of these are going to be a little bit too fast for us, even with regeneration 3. But we are getting XP a little bit faster. Maybe the stone ones would work, because they're going to deal a little bit less damage. But the iron ones, nah, not going to work out. And maybe with armor, the iron ones wouldn't kill me, but then my armor takes damage, and I don't want that, so. Though, I wonder if with my life mending armor, oh, it's so much closer. If I had like a chest plate with life mending, I would be able to do this. I don't know. It's actually kind of keeping up. But I would be worried to AFK like this. But I think I'm going to keep my life mending armor on because I think it's going to give us more XP, because I think whenever it does life mending, it gives you, because it's dealing damage, I think it gives you a little bit of XP. So if I get life mending like on my chest or something, I think we could stand on those spikes without issue. But anyways, yeah, I've got to go AFK, so I'm just going to hang out on top of these spikes here. So I'll be back. So this actually worked out extremely well. I did AFK, got my son on the bus, made breakfast, and then I did edit some footage. I did unfortunately die, and it was actually after I had finished messing with this. But I came back over here and I was messing with diamond spikes, and they do drain my health, and if I let my health get too low, like 2 or 3 hearts, like if I'm not paying attention, my life mending will actually kill me, and that's what killed me. Just a heads up, but diamond spikes do give you a lot more XP than iron spikes. But you have to actually monitor it, at least with my current armor. Now, what I did do is I had a set of Forest Troll armor that I've been working on, and you can see we've got Life Mending 2 on both of those. I went ahead and made up some more books and threw Life Mending on them. I was wanting to change from Thaumium to Forest Troll armor because of the fact that Forest Troll armor does give us the projectile damage decrease, and it's better armor overall than Thaumium anyways. But if we pop this open, we are level 27 now. And we do now have a gem socket over here. And We're going to go ahead and take that. We are 3 points from getting our Spectral Wings perk. So by the time we get our VCO mantle, we will be able to fly. The gems I have are 6% increased armor, movement speed, and reach, or 7% increased movement and 8% increased mining. Both of these aren't too bad, though I would prefer the Ilium. But I think I'm just going to craft up, I'm going to set up an area and I'm going to craft up a bunch of these gems before I settle, because I'm going to need a bunch of them here soon anyways. Okay, now unfortunately we don't have time, realistically, to get our gold and redstone automated, so we'll do that next episode, promise. I was just wanting originally just to get this and then do that, but what we're going to do a kind of a quick little side project. First up, we're going to get an advanced electrolyzer, just because this is going to complete a quest for us right here, and we're going to get 32 clay and 4 advanced circuit parts. And the reason I want to do that is because that's what was holding us back from all of this quest line. So we're going to get 4 more advanced circuit parts and a blueberry muffin there. MVH, we've already done. HVH, we're already kind of technically into. And we'll accept that quest also. Now they want us to get a piece of silicon dust. We're going to be actually automating silicon dust here soon. It's just one of those really, really quick things because we already have silicon dioxide automated, so it's really just setting it up. And that's going to complete that quest. And then they want us to get the monocrystalline silicon bull, which I guess we'll stop. Yeah, we'll stop right there. I'm going to make another one of those here soon. I don't have the silicon on hand. Once I automate silicon, then we'll finish that off. But what I want to do, I want to turn our attention over to the thermal evaporation controller. Let me go ahead and, oh yeah, this. Okay, so our first 4 are done. So we're going to go ahead and use the first 4 to make our valve. And really we're going to need 2 valves. I don't know, I got to check and see if the quest gives us a valve. If not, I need to make another one. The quest isn't going to give us a valve, but it's going to give us a bunch of blocks, so we'll see where we're at and what we need. I'll tell you what, I'm probably just going to order the stuff to make another valve. They're cheap enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our thermal evaporation controller. So there's that. And we're going to complete a quest, and we're going to get 42 thermal evaporation blocks and a fluid transfer node. Fluid transfer nodes are nice, but I don't really need one right now. Let me go ahead. I want one more valve. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go set this up, and I don't know where I want to set it up. I'm tempted to put it just out here. Oh, but it's going to be a 4. That's fine, though. It's not a big deal, so we'll do that. And we're going to put the valve in. Of course, the other blast furnace setup is going to be back here, so really I need to utilize this side, which is fine. So what we're going to do, we're going to break open these 2 spots here, and we're just going to put our valves in right here. There we go. So this is now formed. The temperature is going to start going up on this. Now we can heat this, and we will later on, just to speed it up. But right now I really don't necessarily need that. I'm going to have to order a fluid pipe, which will actually just come straight across there. Now I don't have water actually set up in my system anywhere, but I also don't really want, because this thing eats through water really quick, I'm going to give it a dedicated aqueous accumulator, and we'll just connect that up. It's going to start pumping water up into this, and this is going to start taking that water and turning it into brine, which it is extremely slow on here. Wow, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to want to heat this in that case. In that case, we're definitely going to want to make a heater ASAP, because that's too slow for me. I may end up moving this somewhere, though. I don't think I really like the placement, but for right now, this will be okay. And then we'll adjust, get a couple of our fluid logistics pipes. And the heater options we have, we can either go with one that uses fuels, like burnables, or we can go with the resistive, which uses power. I'm going to be going with the fuel wood. And for this, go ahead and toss that down. I am going to have to get coke oven bricks. I tell you what, though, I've got to make some later whenever I set up these. I'm just going to steal these 2, because this isn't even running at the moment anyways. So I thought I had made enough coke oven bricks for like a long time because I had made a bunch of them before, if you recall. But didn't quite work out that way. Now, in addition, we are going to need a small lithium battery for this. And lithium, we can get this pretty easily just by electrolyzing clay dust. And I am going to need another valve for this since we're going to be heating it, because it does require heat to go through a valve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and set up the tank here. And what we'll do, we'll just set up an ender fluid conduit there. It's the last one I've got, but we might as well. And we're going to say insert. So that's going to start pumping brine up into this tank. So let me get this electrolyzed real quick. There is our sodium. We're going to be automating sodium here soon because we're going to automate clay here soon. So we have it for all of our needs because there's a whole lot of needs for clay. We're also going to need this here, which is just, let's see, antimony and lead for this. Okay, so there's our battery alloy, and we're going to go ahead and just throw a couple pieces of this into the bending machine, get this running. Batteries are super cheap, so this isn't too bad at all. And then we're going to need a new machine, that is the canning machine. Okay, so there's our canning machine. I'm just going to get a basic one for now. Let me just set this up here, throw that in, and there is our battery. But I looked at the resistive heater, not the fuel wood heater. The fuel wood heater needs a lithium battery. And you know, I guess we could just get our silicon. I mean, we're making the silicon trioxide or whatever. But since we're going to be setting this up anyways here soon, just for aluminum, I guess we could just do our silicon through that. Realistically, that would be okay. Alright, so there is our lithium battery. And there is our fuel wood heater. Okay, so we're going to get a quest complete, and this quest is going to give us basic thermodynamic conductors in addition to our chicken. So let's go ahead and set this up. I will put our valve in right here. We're going to put our fuel wood heater in right here. Thermodynamic conductor feeding in there. And the way this works is any kind of solid fuel that it gets will cause it to heat the thermal evaporator. And what we're going to do is, I tell you what, right now I don't have coal coke being fed over automatically. I've got to figure out where I want to do that. Probably on this side. Yeah, probably. But for right now, I've got this barrel filled, and honestly this is going to run the fuel wood heater for a long time. Long enough that by the time it's done we will probably adjust our setup for it. So there we go. It's going to start making heat. If we take a look, this is going up on heat, so it's pushing out brine quite a bit quicker. Now if we were to break off this and we take a look, you can see that the brine's building up. And it's going to continue getting faster and faster, really to the point that the water's probably not going to be able to keep up with just basic pipes. So that'll be fine for us. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back up. I will probably need to, I've got pressurized conduits. Been using a lot of basic ones, so I've just gotten in the habit of it. Honestly, switching to mechanism pipes for this might be worth doing. Alright, so we could still speed this up a little bit. The water coming in, yeah, it's still draining. But we've already got a full tank of brine, so not a big deal for us. And if we take a look, you can see that the burn time on this is actually super long. 16,000, and it drains pretty slow. So I think this will be pretty good for us for the time being. And that is quickly filling back up with brine. There we go. So now it's not even going to be using water, so I guess it doesn't really matter what conduit we use. Okay, so that brine, which I know we're getting close to wrapping up point, but that brine we are going to solidify then into salt with a ball mold. Okay, so there's our fluid solidifier. I'm just going to go ahead and go with an MV one because of the placement. LV would be perfectly fine. This stuff crafts extremely fast. We're going to go ahead and set our fluid solidifier up right there. And I'm just going to run Mana Steel over, go ahead and put the ball mold into there. It's going to share power with our chemical reactor and distillery from earlier, making the polyethylene, which is backed up, might I add, so we have a lot of each of these. I remember last time around on interactions, we didn't automate it, like fully automate it, and so I was having to move it around, and I was like always low on ethylene. It's like, no, we're not doing that this time. We're going to go a bit easier with all this. Alright, so then what we're going to do, let me open up this wall just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and set our, oh, I forgot to grab my cache. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put a cache right here, and we are going to wrench the top of our fluid solidifier. And then what I want to do is we are going to connect up a chassis pipe to the back of the cache, and then we're going to attach a fluid supplier right there. And no, don't connect. And we're going to put a fluid provider pipe right there. So we want to provide that brine to everything that may need it. Then we're going to click here. We're going to find our brine. There it is. And we want the brine, not the gaseous brine. Pull it over and say keep 10,000 millibuckets. Okay, so that's going to start producing salt. We're going to say auto output enabled. And there we go. Now we have salt building up. And it is going to be... oh, let me get the provider module. We'll attach that there. So now we're producing salt. And that is where we're going to end out the episode. Now, we're going to be doing a lot with this salt. I want to store up a bunch of this because if we take a look at salt, we're going to be using this to make dough and cheese. You know, we've had to make this before and it's terrible. So we're going to be automating dough and cheese for making food. We're also going to be automating saltpeter because we're going to be using saltpeter here soon to start mass producing PhytoGrow. We're also going to be electrolyzing it for sodium and, more importantly, chlorine. That's what I'm most excited for. So anyways, I think with that we are going to end out this episode here. Next episode when we come back, we are going to start off by getting gold, redstone, glowstone automated. I want to push for that really, really bad because I just don't want to have to worry about those things ever again. And then, as long as we have time, which we should, we're going to start working with salt and pushing into better circuits. And just being able to make circuits just easier. Because I'm at the point now, we can make, I mean, we don't even have to make circuits. Our system makes them for us. But they're expensive. I want to make them easier and not have to do the kind of the nested crafting for the circuits. So we're going to push away from that and start working into better and easier circuits. And preparing for HV circuits. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.